Donald Trump seems to think that if he literally runs away from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, it'll just vanish. Like a child believing that if he closes his eyes, the monster disappears. But sorry, Donald, it doesn't work like that. No matter what you say, what distractions you try to create, or whichever golf course you hide out on, we're going to keep talking about Epstein and your connection to it. And that's exactly what Trump's doing this weekend. Taking another luxury golf trip while millions of Americans suffer under his shutdown. It's a giant screw you to the people struggling to afford food, rent, and medicine. But this little escape isn't going the way he hoped, because newly leaked Epstein emails are once again putting him and his inner circle right back in the spotlight. We're going to unpack all of that, but before we do, please take a moment to like this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support what we're doing here. Now, before diving into these explosive new emails and how they've completely derailed Trump's golf getaway, let's start with a revealing admission made just a few weeks ago by Howard Lutnick, and the powerful response from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett that puts it all into perspective.
Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when, they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos, because there were people on those videos.
What? Quote, how did he get 18 months? He's a convicted sex offender. On that, I'm with Lutnick. Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She serves on the House Oversight Committee, which is investigating the Epstein case. Mara and Basil are still here. Congresswoman, you want to talk to Howard Lutnick too?
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, he said, I don't know, but one thing is clear. He knew enough to know that he did not want to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein and that he was his neighbor. He talked about the fact that he was into some questionable things. So I'm sure he's seen people come and go, and he seems pretty confident that there were videos of this. So I would absolutely love to kind of dig in a little bit more and at least get a list of names to work from and start to kind of build backwards and do the work that Alex Acosta and that DOJ failed to do.
Well, he says in that interview that they, quote, shared a wall. I don't know what billionaires have for home alarms, but like a Ring camera would have probably picked up some images. I mean, do you want to see his surveillance footage if he has any?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if he still has it, for sure. We know that that was actually one of the things that Alex claimed was problematic for him, that they did not get the video footage that Epstein had as relates to that Florida case where he ended up getting the 18 months. So anyone, and in fact, let me make a plea right now. If you have video footage of anything that was going on at the Epstein home, whether it's Florida or New York or anywhere else, please feel free to contact the House Democrats on oversight, and we will do everything that we can to make sure that the truth starts to come out.
You know what I thought listening to that interview? I listened to the whole thing, time I'll never get back, but he talks about taking his wife over to Epstein's house. He describes him as, quote, gross. And he describes a tour that Epstein gave him of his fancy house, which was, I think he said, quote, so wide. And they go from the living room, and he thinks that the double doors are opening into a dining room, because I guess that's what all the house's floor plan is. I don't know. And it's a room with a massage table in the middle. It seems to me that if one of your peers, instead of a dining room, has a room with a massage table, and don't you think they talk amongst themselves? And this is something I've picked up from all the victims. I mean, the victims have suffered because they were siloed in their shame and in their trauma. But the people who knew about Epstein, they were never shamed and isolated. They all hung out together. I mean, does Lutnick give you more names of people that hung out and maybe also went on the tour and saw the massage table?
Howard Lutnick, who lived next to Jeffrey Epstein, is admitting that he was a well-known blackmailer. Like that is all that you need to know about this guy. That he was keeping tapes, that he was keeping documents, that he kept videos, that he kept photos. Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing powerful people who engaged in criminal acts with him. And Lutnick was alluding to the fact that that helped him get out of prosecution, that he was maybe handing over some of those documents or threatening the powerful people who should have been holding him accountable. And then those powerful people, of course, went on to work in Donald Trump's administration. Alex Acosta. We know Howard Lutnick was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. RFK Jr. literally admitted on Fox that he traveled on his jet multiple times. During that interview with Ghislaine Maxwell and Todd Blanche, Maxwell said that many members of Donald Trump's cabinet and his administration were around Epstein. These were the very people covering up for him. So that would lead you to believe, as Lutnick alluded to and Crockett pointed out, that those people helped cover up for Jeffrey Epstein. And now they are in Donald Trump's administration. And why were they covering up for him? Because he has dirt on them. And it is not just Trump. It is so many others. These are Republican elected officials. These are Trump administration officials. And of course, these are the GOP donors. The chief among them is Donald Trump, who leaked emails just revealed might be hiding even more, is hiding even more about this Epstein scandal than we ever could have known. And it is blowing up his golf trip today. Jeffrey Epstein was investigated for money laundering. Emails reveal a federal prosecutor requested that a grand jury issue subpoenas for every financial transaction conducted by Epstein and his 6 businesses dating to 2003. The emails show. She even called one of Epstein's most important clients. Welcome to a special edition of FIA Files. This morning, my colleagues and I published another major installment in our ongoing series related to the 18,000 emails we obtained from the personal Yahoo account of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It is revealing. We uncovered details about a Monday money laundering investigation into the wealthy financier that took place alongside the federal crimes probe, which has been shrouded in secrecy for nearly 2 decades. I'll be discussing our findings Tuesday on my new podcast Disclosure. In the meantime, read for our key takeaways from our investigation. It's been almost 4 months since the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation concluded that releasing any portion of the 300 gigabytes that make up the so-called Epstein files would not be appropriate or warranted. Since then, 2 congressional committees that have been probing the government's handling of the Epstein case between 2005 and 2008 have started following Epstein's money. What the emails and documents from Epstein's inbox show is that federal prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Florida were following Epstein's money long before there was broad public interest in doing so. A new layer. The money laundering probe adds a new layer to the narrative about how the government conducted its investigation into the Norris user. It also raises questions about what evidence prosecutors may have gathered long before the public began demanding a full accounting of this case. That investigation had continued. Prosecutors may have been able to identify other individuals and institutions that facilitated this trafficking operation of when we are learning more about it right now. This information makes it incredibly clear that there is a massive cover-up happening right now. It appears that the DOJ is likely sitting on this evidence that Epstein's crimes were perhaps even bigger than have been publicly reported. I think this calls into question Alex Acosta's entire testimony. And while this new reporting is coming out, Donald Trump is hosting a car show at his golf club today as millions of Americans are struggling in his disastrous economy. We've been saying this from the very beginning. Follow the money, because it always reveals the truth. The financial trail leads directly to Jeffrey Epstein's network, his clients, his associates, and others who may not yet be named in these files or who haven't given full accounts of their involvement. When investigators start asking the right questions, just like Congress did when it secured the birthday book from the Epstein estate, more evidence continues to surface. That's exactly why the DOJ appears to be withholding critical information. Emails, transaction records, and details of Epstein's business connections that could expose how deep this web goes. It all circles back to Donald Trump. In fact, NBC News has been blocked from obtaining the names of two individuals who reportedly received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Epstein. Names that could further illuminate Trump's financial and personal ties to this criminal network. Meanwhile, Trump is using a government shutdown as both cover and distraction. Stopping Representative Adelita Grajalva from being sworn in, which would give Democrats the 218th signature needed to force a vote on the Epstein files. While families struggle to put food on the table, Trump is golfing and flaunting luxury cars at his club, desperate to change the subject. But these newly leaked emails have thrown a wrench into his plans, proof that he can't run away from a scandal that continues to grow. And Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett called all of this out perfectly in this clip right here.
That there are too many American people that are on SNAP benefits, but that means that you got to not look necessarily at SNAP. You got to look at the reasons that they're on SNAP. We know that over 1/4 of these people that are in receipt of SNAP benefits are actually the working poor in this country, right? We have not increased the minimum wage, and I don't know when, and the minimum wage still sits at $7 while everything else is going up, whether we're talking about the cost of food or whether we're talking about the cost of rent or whether we're talking about the cost to actually try to engage in home ownership, if we're talking about the interest rates. And we know that under the failed leadership of this administration, this country has seen a loss of 1 million jobs, and that's just in the first few months. He's not even had a full year. So no, we need to work on economic policies that will put people into a position in which they are not the working poor, where they are still needing the $6 a day to eat. So yes, we need to talk about it, but I don't think that SNAP is the problem. I think that that is the resolution, or at least that is a symptom of the problem. We have a bigger problem in which we have billionaires that are continuing to rise up every single day and are getting richer and richer, to the extent that there was talk about Elon becoming a trillionaire, the first one in this country or in the world. Yet we still have people that have to go to the food bank and go to work, that have to sit there and go to make sure that they've got money on their SNAP and EBT cards. Like, that's a problem, and I do think that we need to address it.
We know exactly what Donald Trump is doing. His tactics are obvious, and we're going to keep exposing them right here on this show. If you want to help us keep doing that, make sure to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and if you made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.